See how honky they are? They're like, Mah. Welcome to episode 6 of Guitar Talk, the series where I pick an instrument from my collection, give you a bit of a story about how I came to be in possession of it, and give you some tones and round up on build quality and let you know if it's worth your time and money. In this episode, we have something a little bit different. We are looking at the CORT KX300 ETCHED, which is not usually a brand or a style of instrument I would buy. This was a case of I saw the finish and I had to have it, which is easily the worst way to buy a guitar. I just really liked this finish. It's clearly inspired by mayonnaise. I noticed that this appears to be a trend in this current model year of instruments, the kind of sandblasted, etched, open pore, but with paint in the pores of the wood type deal. Jackson do a range called Baked, which is the same. You know, CORT do two versions of this guitar. There's one in red, there's one in gold. Matching EMG pickups, a really nice touch. This guitar is an absolute steal. It retails at $499, and I picked it up for even cheaper than that because this particular model was on clearance. For a guitar that's under 500 quid, this is an insane deal. Like, I would have loved something like this when I was first learning to play, for example. The sound of the guitar is not really for me, and we'll get into that why later. It's no fault of the guitar itself. But this represents like the deal of the year, as far as I'm concerned. You have EMG Super77 actives, Retroactives, the range. But they are really new pickup from EMG. You have, I think it's called like anthracite hardware, which is like kind of black chrome. You have Canadian hard maple neck, which is supposed to be more stable than just like standard maple. You have this etched top, which is pretty flawless. It's really nicely done. I have no idea how you make a top like this, but I can't imagine it's easy. It definitely looks like a much more expensive guitar than it actually is. And so, yeah, I saw the finish and I was like, fuck it, buy it. It was so cheap. I was just like, I love it. Even if I don't play it, I'll just keep it around because it looks nice. Guitar manufacturers would have you believe these days that anything around $1,000, 1,200 quid is mid-range. It fucking isn't. This is mid-range. Like 500, 600 quid is mid-range to me. This whole notion that we're being led to believe that spending over £1,000 on a guitar is mid-range, like fucking no it ain't. Like, you should be getting something shit hot for that sort of money. This is a mid-range guitar, and in my opinion this is a really good mid-range guitar, both in specs and in build quality. For those who don't know, CORT are one of the biggest guitar manufacturers. They basically make loads of other bigger brands guitars without actually mentioning any names. Ibanez. So CORT can manufacture instruments really cheaply. This is Indonesian made. And so the benefit to you as a buyer is you get a really well-spec'd instrument for less money than you might get from some of the bigger manufacturers. Now the trade-off for that is that it says CORT on the headstock. It's not a particularly like fancy brand name. You know, it's kind of like Audi or BMW is sort of the prestige badge you'd want as a car. But Skoda, it's not very popular, it's not very cool, but it's still just as good. Kind of like that. If you're not fussed about having a fancy name on the headstock, even if you just want a guitar to kind of just kick around the house, to write on and jam on, like, CORT do some really good stuff these days. They used to be a bit naff back in the day, and they weren't that well renowned, but they're kicking out some really nice stuff, and this is one of them. This is one of the nice things they're kicking out at the moment. So the tones on this guitar are, the way this guitar sounds is just not for me. Like, this is a kick-ass like rock guitar, and it has so much like spank and like mid-range honk. I think part of that is two reasons. I think is that it's the top, which is just really hard. I mean, it's hard to explain without you feeling the guitar, but it's rock hard. And the retroactive pickups are unlike any EMGs I've ever played. they're not really compressed at all. They don't have the most output. They are voiced in a way that's just meant for kind of like 70s rock. I mean, the name should be a giveaway, like the Super77 Retroactive, you know, that kind of thing. You know, if you were playing material sort of that's kind of like bluesy rock, or even like in a covers capacity such as Led Zeppelin or whatever, this thing would kick ass. And you'll see why now with the tones. Really like metallic and spanky sounding. Very clear, very spanky. See what I mean? If you're playing that like kind of like Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of. Yeah. They are nice, they're really nice cleans. Sound really nice with chords, like it's really jangly and see how honky they are? They're like Mah. They're just like, they're just way too bright and honky for chugging metal. this still like has that EMG thing of like pinched harmonics are just ridiculously easy. All your like Zakk Wylde moments. Yeah, I mean they're just way too bright and honky for chugging metal. I mean they're really interesting. I think it's a real departure for EMG, and I think like I said, rock players would really love these pickups. These would sound great through like a like a more vintagey kind of rocky amp, like a British crunch style thing. I think is what would really suit this guitar and these pickups. Build quality wise, this thing's fucking perfect. Perfect frets. No issues at all with the neck pocket. It's tight as a motherfucker. No finish flaws at all. Don't tell me that import guitars are shit, because this thing is cheap as fuck and it's perfect. You can't find a thing wrong with it. And everybody who says like Indonesian instruments are fucking junk, well, I mean maybe they were once upon a time, but this thing is as well built as guitars twice its price. And I know because I've had Indonesian guitars with a lot of fucking problems. I think this guitar is an absolute steal for like a rock guitar. I love the finish. The sound is not to my taste. For what it's intended for, it sounds fantastic. I really think that like this is a reminder that like this is a mid-range guitar, okay? Not a guitar that's £1,000 fucking pound. This is a mid-range guitar, and this is what you should expect for 500-600 quid. Something that's well built, that sounds good, that does what it says on the tin. Great job, CORT. Nice. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Guitar Talk. You can help me make more by chucking me a subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.